The Model Railroads and Structures Show is brought to you by Helicon Focus. Helicon Focus makes photo stacking easy, while making post-editing just plain simple. Get your 20% off a lifetime membership by going to modelersguild.com/HF. And we thank Helicon Focus for their support of the Model Railroads and Structures Show.
What, is this a rerun?
Huh? Yeah?
Come on, Dad.
What not?
Isn't this intro a little old?
Come on. Hello, and welcome to the Model Railroads and Structures Show. The Model Railroads and Structures Show is a show that is a little bit different from the rest because we don't want to do a show that is so refined that we have to shut out an entire segment of the modeling community to be able to do an entertaining show. So what we're doing here is we're recording a raw variety show driven by chat room. If people come on to the chat room, they've got an interesting story. We can pull them up at any time, bring them into the show for the live show today. And after the show is done, it'll do an 8-hour recording. So we could do this 8 hours every Sunday and collect at least an hour's worth of footage to be produced down into a nicer show with music and dancing and costumes and all that fun stuff for the people who cannot take this chaotic model railroading debauchery. Maybe that was the wrong word. So the chat room is live. Let me look over here to see what the chat room's saying. I have to put up a couple of monitors here. Refined, we are not. It says Edward Traxler in the chat room. Actually, let me turn the camera around, so to speak, so that we can see what's going on. So if I go over here to watch the YouTube channel, you can see me picking my nose and all that jazz. But over to the right, you can see Manolo CSX, Sven Frank, Michael O'Durney. Sorry if I butchered your name, and my friend Edward Traxler, all chatting along to the side of the video as I'm talking right now. It's not about me. This is about the Model Railroads and Structures Show. The host can be anybody. I have no interest in controlling that. I don't like doing things by myself online. So this is a team event. If you're active in the chat room and you're an accepted member of our community, you guys are all welcome, all except for the people who can't control themselves. We will control this show with an iron fist in that way. This isn't a democracy in that way. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to check out to see if Ed and Mike want to chat. Ed, how are you doing? I'm taking the idea of this show from a technology podcast that I watch. It's not a podcast. It's actually a video cast online, Twit TV, the Leo Laporte shows. people all over the world listen to him on radio, but what many of those people don't know is Leo records these sessions live in his studio with a live chat audience. Now, Leo has people in his chat audience answering questions for him during interviews, bringing up ideas, doing things like that. Just a variety of different things that have to do with tech. Now, this show wants to have everything to do with model railroading or modeling in general. Modeling in general. I want to be able to talk to military modelers on this show. I want to talk to, if you're a brony and you know how to weather bronies like crazy, we may even have 10 minutes for you. So this is a show that on Sunday it is completely raw. Thank you, Ed, for coming on. Hopefully we can get Mike on so that you can spend a few minutes talking about these cameras. Not about Helicon Focus, because I know that that's going to be next week with your new camera, but you got sick of your entry-level DSLR and bought a new one because you wanted to take advantage of features for your model railroading. You got to the limitations of a manual photo taking and want to take automated photos much easier. Am I correct?
You're correct. Here's the deal. If you go to the camera store and they have all the Nikons, you say, well, why they sell 10 different versions? Well, the deal is they get you to buy one, and then you go, it doesn't have a certain things, and
like
that's the draw. Yeah, it's like crack. The draw to get you to purchase the next one, because the one you got works good, and then you want to do something, and you go, well, darn, it won't do such and such. That just any kind of business, I suppose. But yeah, I've got a Nikon D3200, which is a entry-level DSLR. I bought mine at Walmart. The D3200 takes good photos, but Ron and I got to working with Helicon Focus, which is a focus stacking program. And interestingly, Ron and I both have a D3200. And we ran into the limitations of the camera. Specifically, the Helicon Focus has Helicon, they have a thing called Helicon Remote. The Helicon Remote allows the camera to take control. Let me try it again. Helicon Remote allows the software on your computer to take control of the camera. And for those that are not aware of what Helicon Focus is, it's called a focus stacking program. And Ron and I talked about this before. Basically, most of us model railroadings are aware that you can go to a high f-stop, like I say, a f28, f32, and you can get a lot of depth of field in your model photography. That's a good thing. The problem is that if you really want sharp photos, that's not the best, because the more depth of field you have, the higher the f-stop, the softer the photography is. In order to get a sharp photo, you need to drop the f-stop. Most camera lenses around f8, more or less, is the sharpest image, and that just has to do with the physical design of the camera lens.
couldn't hear what you said while I was talking to the wife there.
I was just rattling on about the D3200, which you and I both have, and the fact that it is a good camera. It's an excellent camera. I mean, you use it for a bunch of stuff.
It's a top-notch sensor on it.
It's a top-notch entry-level camera. The problem simply being that in order for them to sell more expensive cameras, they have to take out certain things on the lower end cameras.
Which makes me think that you could basically take that shell off and put those components in, because it's probably just an empty hole in the design.
No, it's the somebody could hack it. Mike could even hack the darn thing to make it do what we want it to do. But
This week in Model Railroads and Structures Show was definitely not brought to you by Rinse Relics. Buy 5 kits and tell them, "He who must not be named sent you." Good morning, Sven. So you've been on the Model Rail Radio Show, the YouTube Model Builders Show. What is it that I don't want to cut them down in any way, but I also want to find out what is missing in in this arena that Europeans would like to see. I know Tom Barbalet asks questions like this all the time, and it's really not the same. I'm not asking the same thing. I'm asking for, what are things that people aren't willing to do that I probably would be willing to do?
That's the dangerous question.
The thing with model rail radio is, it's radio, so you can listen. That's nice when you're doing some work on the layout or building a structure or whatever, but you can't see anything. So if somebody is explaining a weathering technique, for example, you need to create a picture in mind of what might it look like. You can't see him do anything. Yeah, so that's a lot of great information, new products that come out, new developments that are ongoing and not quite released yet. Yeah, that's definitely interesting, and it's a great bunch of guys to listen to and to hang out with. I mean, just in audio format, but as I said, the picture is missing.
Yeah, it is a visual media, and that's something that I've always kind of... in terms of Model Rail Radio, I went on the show because last year I wanted to start this show on YouTube right off the hop. I wanted to jump in with both feet. However, I'm a very nervous person in front of people. You might not recognize that right off the bat. You might think that I'm full of confidence and full of all this stuff, but first time I went on Model Rail Radio with Tom Barbalet, Lionel Strang's not the only one who's got a problem saying the name, I can actually hear my voice tremble in the interview. Like, I was literally...
Me too. My first show was show number 80, Ads Effects. Hi, Ed. Mr. Traxler. It was October 2013, yes, and I was nervous too. Yeah, since it's an interview on air, it's been recorded, it goes out there for everyone to listen to, and for me, it's a foreign language.
Yeah. Yeah, really. Yeah, so I've got a lot of I'm a big fan of Tom Barbalet and the Model Rail Radio, and at no point would this show ever intend to replace that. I'm very inclusive person. There's nothing exclusive about me. As far as I know, there is only a few active shows left, but they're very quality shows. You've got modelrailradio.com, you've got Lionel Strang and his
A Modeler's Life.
Yes, which is very good. Lionel Strang has the ear of the more exclusive crowd in this hobby. You'll get guests that probably wouldn't even consider coming to talk to this guy. I don't know who else is really active because it's
yeah, the Model Railcast show is gone now since Ryan Anderson.
When I started listening to the Model Railcast show, I felt that Ryan was much like me. He was a greenhorn coming into a hobby that he was learning, and I feel that Ryan grabbed the ear of many professional hobbyists, people who want to be professional, and people who are very good hobbyists, and learned his way through the conversations through those people. Like, for instance, you'd hear Ryan say the weirdest stuff while he was talking to somebody, like what's a helix, and you'd be like, you'd be listening to this guy, and then he'd be go, what's a helix, and it'd be like saying, what's the sun, his humbleness really brought a magic to the show. So I think that they really need to get that back to become the entertaining show that it once was. Well, I would suggest that anybody interested in hearing a great podcast from a brand new modeler who grew into, Ryan Anderson basically rubbed shoulders with people like Tony Koster. He talked to people like Lance Minheim.
I think Dave Frary was on the podcast a couple of times.
Yeah, within the first 20 shows. Dave Frary was on. Dave Frary is... There's like 3 modelers who make me turn into a little girl. And Dave Frary's one of them. Ken Patterson, and another one that, I have yet to choose. But yeah, so it's amazing the accomplishments that Ryan brought to the arena, and I think it was his noobishness that really gave the podcast a humble start, and I think that's what I connected to personally. That's why I donated to him. So. I want to be inclusive of all those things. I don't want to jump on anybody's show. The YouTube Model Builder Show is another live show done on Hangouts. So, Sven, if you,
sure.
I want a lower third like yours. is what I want. I just noticed that. That's some hot stuff there. I like it.
Yeah, that's pretty much the same graphic appeal that my YouTube channel has. So
what I was thinking was maybe we could get a couple of European modelers onto the show.
I'm modeling US in Europe, which is hard enough. There's only 2 places I can purchase American stuff without importing myself, with all the issues that come with it. Yeah, the process of importing with taxes and customs and all that other jazz, money transfer in the other direction. Yeah. So, the event for me coming up would be in, what is it, 24th and 25th of October this year. We have an NMRA convention down just south of Frankfurt in Germany. I can't believe it. So that would be a show to go to. Somewhat 19 layouts on display and a couple of vendors.
My point is that Pelle Soberg is an American modeler. Charles Kirk is an American modeler. There are many European American modelers that are all facing west. You're all sitting there trying to communicate with the West about your modeling and stuff like that, when you guys should just all get together and start some sort of community, not a community, get in touch, and maybe we could do that on this show. Maybe you do it on the Model Rail Radio Show. I'm not jumping on that. Not jumping, Tom. Tom, you're good. But I know Anders Wurten. That gentleman will stay up till 4 o'clock in the morning to be a part of the Model Rail Radio Show. So there's people who are very interested in sharing their work with the West or with their prototype. They want to share their model with the people who live in the prototype, So I think that you'd be a great ambassador to that. So keep your eye out. So Sven, what's happening in your modeling world? If you could take a couple of minutes to share with us.
I saw in the chat Manolo CSX was asking about roads and roads built from styrene. I've just taken the advice of Mr. Hans Mindheim and just strictly followed his how-to. And that ended up looking something like this. Yeah, so this is my first attempt in building a road in HO scale. The tricky part with that is it's double track, but I have a turnout sitting down here. So the back track in here is curved, and both tracks are not parallel to front or back side of the layout. So I got angles and radii on both tracks, which made it a little bit tricky. What I did to get this to this nice snug fit, I took a piece of paper and laid it over the whole section, nice and firm, and took a pencil and just draw over the tracks, so that would leave marks in the paper where the rail heads are. So then I could make just cut the styrene that's 1.5 millimeter in thickness, and that fits right snug up to the railhead. So it's perfectly smooth. I can lay a straight edge right across the track. And the road surface and the railhead is just one level. Makes it nice and neat looking, and it doesn't make a mess. Except maybe for the paint job if you do it with a rattle can. And the road stripings are actually painted. It's not a commercially available product. It's just masking tape and airbrush.
Manilow CSX is also a European modeler, no?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Seen,
I believe.
So where's he from?
I don't know. I don't know. But he is more than welcome to come on and chat with you about European modeling and stuff like that. We've, like I said, this is an informal kind of raw event that if you're in the chat and you are interesting, or you know, as long as you don't break that rule of no trolls allowed, you're good.
That doesn't count for Trolls Kirk.
Yeah, that is TROLLS.
What up, y'all? You looking for some landscaping for your layout? Well, you better do like old Early and get you some of these fine long shadows trees from longshadows.com. You tell them old Early sent you. Here.
I just screen shared whatever we're doing right now. This is a stacked photo, and that's about 8 inches back to the hopper back there, and it's all pretty much in focus.
That was the scenery you did the other day with the mosses, and then tweaked a little bit with some Woodland Scenics products.
Yeah, of course this is not every it's just one type of plant, but it's really easy. There's the point I was trying to say. People are like, you know, I don't have all the fancy products. Well, I bought this at my local big box store at Walmart. You can buy sheet moss. It's over by the there's all kinds of varieties. It's used to decorate the top of like, you know, plastic flowers, you know, little planters and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's really coarse, really too coarse for modeling, but it makes a good armature. If you mix with, you know, your other scenery items.
That at least works for O scale. That was O scale, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, I found a filter fleece, a grease filter for the hood in the kitchen, and if you pull that stuff apart and paint it in a flat black, that makes nice bushes in HO scale.
Now see, I need to look at that, because here's the problem I got. I go down to look for that sort of thing, like furnace filter material, screen, and I found all this pre-packaged is in the stores. It's either paper or it's fiberglass, and I have not been able to find anything that's, you know, it used to be you could go to the where they sold aquarium filters and you could buy the stuff, and I can't find that. It's all pre-packaged, it's pre-manufactured, it's paper or some kind of synthetic, you know. It's like I keep looking.
Well, I got some of the stuff here pulled out of the package and pulled apart.
Well, I need to check. I need to check over next time I go to the range hoods and see if they got any on for sale. Because
I was kind of curious myself on how that would separate, but don't know how well the camera is picking that up. But it's a very fine wool, and I can separate this even farther and have some very fine fibers.
right, yeah.
I keep
And
it like this to get this painted properly, but yeah, this was some experimental stuff, and once this is painted in black, I think that makes some nice underbushes and undergrowth.
And that
And this is
that
just one small section.
and that is what? This material?
That's a grease filter for the steam hood in the kitchen.
Okay. Looks like a polyfill, but
Yes, it's the same stuff.
Well, how are you doing today, Peter?
Oh, I'm doing okay. I'm not nearly as uncomfortable as I thought I was going to be.
Yeah.
From my surgery, and you know, so it's coming along. Here's what my foot looks like.
I wanted to do this show, and I particularly wanted to get you on the show because I've heard you on the Model Rail Radio a number of times, and I'm really interested in your modeling. And I no cut down to Model Rail Radio, but I haven't seen your modeling through that show. So
right, I need to post more. I need to post more photos. You know, I haven't been as good about that as I should be. I realize that that's something that I need to do, not only just for interest's sake, but also if I'm trying to market my abilities, I need to market my abilities.
yeah, there's only one way I got any work around. You know, my first jobs were when I was a total amateur modeler, way back in about 2008. I was an amateur. I was a hack. You know, but because I was sharing my photos online, people said, "Well, you got more hacks than I've got." So that's how I started, was sharing my photos online. So I encourage you to share your stuff. I am in no competition with you. We're geographically separate.
No, right. I understand that. Not only that, you know, my wife Karen and I were talking about this whole idea earlier. And as I said, you know, the more that we get together as, you know, as groups of competent modelers, you know, we give each other credibility in terms of, you know, if we are associated with other good modelers, then that just increases our own standing in the community, I would think.
Yeah.
I don't see it as anything that represents you know, a negative at all.
Yeah.
how does
You
it
know,
know
unless
you're
of
known
course
by the company you keep?
yeah, right, exactly. As long as you guys don't start trash talking about me, you know.
Well, Peter, I give you fair warning. We started off with talking about dancing and costumes.
I've heard an awful lot of good things about your layout, Ed, on Model Rail Radio lately. And seeing the pictures that Jim Lincoln took were very impressive. I mean, I knew that you did good stuff, but seeing it all as a piece rather than just an individual scene here and there, gives me a much better sense of what it's like.
Well, thanks. It's really I tell people it's more of a operating diorama. Really, it's only 10 foot by 5 foot.
Yeah, that's really what my layout is going to be too. Mine is 2 feet deep by 20 feet long, 3 hollow core doors. With foam and stuff on top of that.
Yeah. Well, here's the deal. If you are into, they were talking the other night on I guess off-show chat, and they were talking about people that super detailed as opposed to somebody that likes operation.
Sure.
A smaller, I told somebody, in fact, I told Tom one night, I says, I'm not really a model railroader, I'm a modeler that models railroads. I like the scenery, I like the scratch building, the research. It just happens that trains are neat. It gives you an opportunity to display your work, but I could probably do it. But the smaller area allows you to fiddle with stuff.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm kind of in the middle so far as operation versus fine scale detail and stuff. I like both of them, and my own private layout is going to be mostly fine detail and stuff, but I'm fortunate that at the moment I have a commission with a guy that I'm building on a layout for him that is much more intended to be his main interest is running trains, and the scenery is more of just a backdrop from his point of view. So I'm getting to do both aspects at the same time in different places, sort of at the moment. So
my so-called I put it in quotes layout was originally it was 2 ON30 modules. I took them to the 2011 narrow gauge convention in Greenville, in where was that? Wherever it was, North Carolina.
Greensboro?
No, what? Where was? I can't remember now. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The point was that it wasn't designed for operation. Being a ON30 module, it was two 4-foot modules, with a little scene and the track running down the center. So it ended up on my wall, and I added a little a foot to the L shape, but there's not a whole bunch of operation in there, and it's because it's just in my bedroom. And it's not that I wouldn't like to have more room, but it kind of focused me on the detail side or the scenery side, just because of the limitations it started with.
Yeah, I personally, if I had, if I were in a situation where I could have anything I wanted, I would tend more toward a smaller layout that was well detailed than toward a massive, Tony Custer type thing.
Peter, out of all the people online, I've got one of my biggest, not my biggest issues, but one of the biggest pieces of feedback I get is after I start talking about a Craftsman kit, there's a big conversation about the cost of the hobby, the worth of the kit, and
yeah, I think you did a real good job of talking about that in the video that you did about Streeters and Clearbrook.
That was one of his better videos, by the way.
I am absolutely in the same camp with you. I think that sure, these kits cost a lot of money, but the amount of value that you get out of them in terms of the all the stuff that you learn from them, the end result that you get, and the amount of enjoyment that you get from building it over a prolonged period of time, you know, I think they're worth every penny.
Years ago, I heard a good explanation for the cost of a hobby, and it was you divide the cost by the number of hours that you spend on it.
Mm-hmm.
And that is your cost per hour. If you buy a $30 book and it turns out to be a lousy book, you read it for an hour, you never open it again, it costs you $30 an hour. If you buy a $50 book and you dog-ear that thing, you spend 100 hours reading through that book, that was what, 50 cents an hour?
Right, exactly. That's
so,
exactly the kind of
the
thought
kit,
process.
The kit, if it's a $400 kit, but you spend 6 months, well, divide your time into it. Your hobby is how much per hour, not the overall cost. That's just my opinion, but it works for anything. It works for movies. You buy a movie, and you watch the entire movie, and it costs you, $10 or whatever it is. Okay, it's that's a $7.50 an hour. But if you watch 30 minutes, you close it down because you don't want to watch the rest of it. It costs you more.
Right.
Or you rewatch the darn thing. You buy it and you rewatch it. Every it's the Santa Claus, and you watch it every Christmas for your kids. Well, about the 5th time you've watched it, you're down to like a $1 an hour.
Yeah, by the end of it, that kit don't owe you the thing. That's why I call it a learning kit, because I basically spent $450 on Streeters, or it could have been less. It could have been $395. Could have been $395. I don't have the box no more because I sold the box on eBay.
$55.
Yeah, I heard about that.
You put that thing on eBay and people are going to buy it for the manual and those the template cards that are in there. Actually, let me pull one off the wall here. This is just the top one that's on the wall. This is Baxter's Building Supply. Fine Scale Miniatures kit from George Celios of the Eastern...
Peabody, Massachusetts.
Peabody, Mass. That's what it is.
Actually, Peabody.
Peabody.
We could have a whole discussion just about names and how they evolve. That's pretty good stuff.
So the thing about this kit, let's start off with the price because that's what's most important to people. This kit, when it was released, it was $260. $260. The instructions come on great big pieces of paper that you can put on your desk and go through them and spend a lot of time planning this stuff out. You look at the template cards. They're really well done. There's nothing, it's not like a plastic model where you get an exploded diagram of where these parts go. It's what, where, how, and how long to tickle it. You're paying for the perfect, your perfect first time modeling experience here. And my first Craftsman kit was built way back in 2008 when I couldn't build models. My first Craftsman kit, and it was a low cost Craftsman kit because there are Craftsman kits that cost $500, and then there's Craftsman kits that cost $50.
Right.
An example of my first Craftsman kit would be Full Steam Ahead by Joe Rutter. I have those kits up there, and I'd have to get through them and stuff like that to show them, but I had the Barrel Factory and another kit from him, and they are multimedia kits. They come with a paper of weathering and painting and different details, how to paint metal, how to glue metal to wood, which is a big problem for a lot of people. All kinds of tips and tricks that hold your hand through the building of a kit. A Craftsman kit is not the end product. A Craftsman kit is how it gets you to the end product. So if your only barrier into getting into Craftsman kits is the price, please look past the price, because as Ed said, your cost per hour could be in the pennies. You know, it could be under $1 an hour of your time that it costs you.
I must say that the amount of Craftsman kits and laser cut kits is certainly, even over here in Europe, it's increasing. So I was on a modeling show last week and took a look on what all the vendors had on offer. It's not for me to purchase, because most of the stuff I need is a scratch build anyway, and I enjoy scratch building, but I took a good look around what is available on the market, and what's coming out is new kits, and there's a whole lot of laser cut and Craftsman kits coming or already out there. So the market has definitely shifted from the plastic kits that are available for over 20, sometimes 30 years now and haven't changed, over to more Craftsman style, and a lot, as I said, laser cut kits in either wood or wood and paper combinations. So the market is slowly changing.
Oh my God.
That wall is paper on styrene.
Now the barbed wire on the top.
Yes.
I recently seen a YouTube video where a gentleman took I forget what it was. Oh, it was Luke Towan, a Australian modeler, who did that.
Yeah.
What did you do for your barbed wire?
That's probably a 24 gauge stranded wire.
Uh-huh.
And I took one strand out of this cable and painted it silver, wrapped it around a piece of rod, and just super glued it on top here. The center piece is styrene, and I just drilled a few holes and set the little wire pieces in there. That's brass.
That right there is a masterwork, Sven. You can't find, half the master model railroaders in the world would never be able to do that. That is beautiful.
This whole wall section is it's probably that piece from there to about here. So this length was one photograph, and it is a screenshot of Google Street View.
No.
It is so cool the way that some of these new ideas are getting widely adopted. Like using photographs for wallpaper in quotes on buildings and all the Google Street View type stuff and all. It is really cool.
I agree 100%.
That's the clapboard on this is all paper.
Incredible.
It's got strip wood trim.
Just something that I wanted to jump in and say on Peter's point of cardstock modeling and stuff like that. When we were talking about the Craftsman's kits, we were talking about multimedia design. And when we looked at Sven's wall there, we looked at a piece of printed card, some styrene, some steel rod, and some small gauge stranded copper wire that was painted silver. So that is a true multimedia design there. And this use of printed media is not, we don't make a cake of just the flour, it's a whole bunch of different things to make the cake. So
no, I agree 100%, because if you look at this picture right here, this is aluminum cake pan foil, right? That's a strip wood door there. That's strip wood trim. It's all paper on the clapboard, and these are tissue windows. So I'm like, you use whatever the material works best. I mean, that's all paper here. Both those buildings are paper. But yeah, it's got
Jim,
the windows are tissue, although this is printed right here because it's in the background.
as I understand it, Jim Gore's clinics that he's been giving at the NMRA conventions have been sold out as one of the very first clinics to sell out in any of these at any of these conferences, and standing room only. This whole area of modeling has gotten a whole new lease on life.
Thank you for bringing up Jim. I was going to ask you if that was Jim Gore that I hear on Model Rail Radio talking about card modeling all the time.
Yeah, he's the most he's the person on Model Rail Radio that has been talking most about it.
I just want to give a shout out to Ron Kleiss and Peter Levos out in the chat room. They said hi to me and the guys here, so I'll give you a shout out back out. Anybody who's in the chat room, it's going to be hard for us to actually kind of pay attention to it, but my goal for the show is to constantly have the chat room showing so that I could maybe take cues or tips, or pull in some extra information on the conversation from the audience itself in the live format. So thanks guys for being here. And
I had Karen bring up one of my South River Model Works kits. This is the one that is that's the most complete. This is wear knitting.
Awesome.
By the way, I just posted a picture. This is another cardstock kit thing.
Yeah, I saw the progress photos that you did of this as you were working on it back. What was it, a year ago or so?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. The only thing I would change would be the door. The flat printing didn't work for that. The clapboard again is layered. But the only thing I would change would be the door. Considering how many times I've knocked it off.
Yeah, doing that out of strip wood would be an improvement, I think. I agree.
Yeah, and since this is right up next to the edge of the layout, I'll probably do that.
That's
But,
probably that'll probably be an easy enough thing to change.
Oh yeah, I every time I move it, I knock the door off. So it's like
There you go.
that's a
But the
Central
metal
Valley.
rail on
That
top.
bridge is a Central Valley, or at least the sides.
What was that, Sven?
Oh yeah, the plate girder one.
Yeah, I
That's
used
right
that.
next to it. Yeah.
I made it's 0-30, but I used that to and built everything up. It was CV.
Yeah, there's a
justice
lot
and
of
stuff.
things that can be used from different scales. Depending on how big something is. A big thing in HO makes a good small thing in O usually.
There's a Joey Ricard posted a furnace filter make bushes video, and that's what I got from him.
A gentleman named Jos from Holland wrote an article for my website before it was being abused by kid hackers, using furnace filter to make evergreen trees, and they were some of the finest scratch-built trees I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, this one right here, Model Railroad Forums.
Yeah, that's it.
It's he put Grove Den on there, but this is the one.
So Sven, this remarkable little toy.
Yeah, this is a basic standard frame already assembled.
And where did you get this
With,
part from? What did you?
Something like this. Yeah, it was in one piece when I got it out of the shop. And that's just a hook to bolt to your wall to hang a ladder or a bicycle or something on the wall.
Oh yeah.
The thing is,
yeah, I recognize what it is.
To finish off the magic of what Sven took a hook that he found at a hardware store and built it into.
Wow.
That's another example. That was my first. So that's pine wood.
See the barn door there?
Yeah, that's a piece of the barn door. Yeah, to repair the deck.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Remarkable work, Sven. Remarkable.
So, and to pull this thing, I obviously need a locomotive. Yes. This one is a little bit more heavy. Somewhat around 7 pounds.
I never seen that before.
So the prototype is a single-cylinder diesel engine, 5.5 horsepower, remarkable 8 kilometers an hour maximum speed. This is a total Scratchbuilt 2.
I don't know if I'm drooling because I'm hungry, but the drooling's happening as the doors are opening. It's I think I'm having
seat is spring-loaded.
So the obvious question is how long have you been working on this?
To get this locomotive to this stage, it took me about 3 months.
That seems very quick to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here, there it is. So that's the
Look at the people in the
ominous.
background. So this standing up would be up to your knee.
Yes, yeah, that's 50 centimeters to the top of the wind visor.
Wow. Scratch built, boys and girls. I'd like to welcome onto the show James Wright. On YouTube, James is commonly known as Jlwii 2000. Is that how I should say it, James?
Well, it got started way before we. It's basically my initials, which is James Lee Wright.
Oh, okay.
And the second, that's where the I and the I came in.
I don't want to get into the secrets of things because I don't want people who are watching this to do what you're doing to kind of steal your thunder, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe, what are the things that you did that either got you interested in reviews or why you got into them?
Well, I started way back in 2009, and before I got into model trains, I was into cars. And I lived in California because that's where I was stationed at military then. And I'd helped a couple people on CNET and some of the smaller magazine reviews for cars. So I'd done some car reviews. I just sat in the seat and took notes for car reviews. There's this guy that I worked with that was trying to start car reviews. So my cousin brings over a train set. We went out and saw 844 out in California. Next thing you know, I'm into trains. I won't go into that story, but I noticed, the first thing I noticed was where's the reviews? Because at the time on YouTube, there were, I don't know if I'd say none. I don't want to be so arrogant to say I was the first person reviewing a model train, but there was very scarce to no HO scale product reviews. And so I started just rolling with it, you know, under the mantra that, hey, I'm a new guy, I don't know what I'm talking about, but here's what I see, you know, here's what it sounds like. You know, here's the things that stick out to me. And I was happy as a pig in crap in terms of, you know, everything I saw, because going in, blue boxes were just being phased out, like, completely. I walked into Bruce's Trains in Sacramento that's now closed, and they had a few blue boxes left on the shelf, but they were almost done. So these ready-to-roll trains were, you know, amazing. And I still had some disgruntled points or some points I'd say something about, you know, a locomotive, but then it just kind of snowballed, and because I was one of, I'll just say a few that were doing reviews, mine kind of caught on. And then anytime I'd mention something like that I saw, I'd get half the camp that wanted, you know, I'd say, oh, well, this has incandescence, LEDs are better. I'd get a bunch of emails saying, well, incandescents look more real. Or if I'd say incandescents look more real, I'd get a bunch of emails saying LEDs look better. So I just kind of started it based off the car review idea, and then just rolled with it. A lot of it, I mean, at the beginning, for the first several years, everybody was like, oh, he's getting free stuff. Those were all purchases. I dropped about 50 grand in the hobby in the first 3 years. Just catching up with all the stuff that was out in the past, that was coming out, you know, just the excitement of being new to the hobby, wanting to have every train under the sun, you know, in my modeling era, which is era and scheme, which is just kind of this huge area. So, you know, my wife had a good job in California, so we just kind of started buying stuff, and she didn't really care because, you know. Yeah. Yeah, so I was buying stuff, and as that came in, I reviewed it, and then later, as time went by, you know, I coordinated with some companies. Like I went to Athearn and did their, you know, I sat there with Shane Wilson at the beginning of a review and caught a whole bunch of heck for that. But you know, if you look back at the course of my reviews, they all, you know, they're all pretty much. There's a couple disgruntled ones. I was really upset with the Bachmann ES44 and SD70 ACE. But at the same time, in the back of my head, I'm realizing some people enjoy that. So, like, you go back to that review, I say I would never, ever pay MSRP for this. This is way overpriced at MSRP. But, you know, I didn't say, oh, it's crap, and let me go, you know, just say flat out, this isn't the case. You should not buy this. Now, if I come across a piece of crap one of these days, you know, that's just a flat-out piece of crap, I will say don't buy it, you know, but I haven't run across to, like, do not buy it. I might have issued that on something. I issued that on a company before, but not an actual product.
Yeah, I've noticed out there that there are reviewers, and I'm not going to name any names, but there are reviewers who are very opinionated in one way or another, and as someone who's always gotten, all my review materials or follow the build materials over the years, other than the expensive Craftsman kits, have all came free.
Yeah.
So I'm the opposite in that regard, and in something that I did was I always said that with a kit, which is different than a finished ready to roll model, is you have to build it, and it doesn't matter what the quality of the kit is on the inside. It's how the manufacturer helps you to get to the end product. So I couldn't review the kit itself. I did a follow the build.
Right.
Where I just focused on how to get her done instead of the song and the dance. So that's.
And nowadays I get more free stuff than I did then, but it's still such a low proportion. Like the last time I did a count, of the last 40 reviews, I had only gotten about 8 of those items for free. I have deals where I send stuff back, but what happens is there's so many people requesting so many different things. Well, I'm a modern UP guy, so somebody requesting a steam locomotive from 1950, it's not an excursion. I get one request, I'll think about it. I get several. Okay, I shoot a message to the company. Hey, can I borrow this? Sometimes I borrow it, and they say keep it. Okay, it ends up on the shelf back here most of the time, because people then follow up with questions about, hey, what's this look like? Can you take pictures of this or whatever? So usually for a long period of time, it'll sit on the shelf. But it's still not as proportional as people think. But the Cato in-scale, people had it nailed. They're like, Cato gave you that. You don't do in-scale reviews. And then I busted out the Train World receipt, which killed two rumors with one stone. That Train World gives me free stuff, and that Cato is giving me a free stick. So, it's something I probably spend too much time on worrying about, because I want people to understand.
Totally, because these people don't recognize the amount of work and the emotional effort it takes to accomplish this stuff. And the emotional effort is a big thing. I've had, like I said, I've had a lot of products sent to me in lieu of promotion, not review. Promotion. They want to have their products exposed to people. They don't want me to lie about their products.
Yeah.
They don't want me to candy coat it. They don't want me to do any of that stuff. They just don't want me to be ignorant or overly critical of things they can't control.
Yeah.
Right?
Sorry to interrupt. Let's face it, though, on any model, or even a kit, some lady in China is building it, and then it's shipped over here on a container ship, and then the post office or UPS may play soccer with it in between here and the manufacturer, and then manufacturer to your dealer to you. So I could get a model that's destroyed. It doesn't mean that all the models are like that.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's true. And the other thing is I've gotten products where I've sent them to people, one of them's a published author, and the guy stole the product. A couple of other people, were right into getting the product, but after they get the product, I get blocked off of Facebook. Where I think that they've quit Facebook, but they didn't quit Facebook. They just got a free product off of me and criticized me.
I've had it that way with giveaways. It's really been irritating. I get messages about, hey, I'm poor and this and that. I've had issues with people saying that they're poor and they had a basement flood or whatever, and all their models are gone, or they're just broke, or their family went through this. So I'll send them something, and then they won't block me, but I don't hear from them ever again, not even a thank you. And before then, you will have like 20 emails a day about it. Hey, where's this? Hey, did you send this? And then, I put tracking on everything. day it's received is usually the last I hear from them. So I've kind of scaled back on giveaways too, because that's been annoying. But yeah, that's
To my next question is that you're into reviews, and you said something that I was going to pick up on, and that is that if you get requests, that you've got the ear of companies in the industry. So do you find out about products before they are announced?
yeah. But my question for you, with your knowledge of structures, is there's two color options for the bridges. There's black and there's gray. People online couldn't decide whether I should do two black ones, a black one or a gray one in front with a black one in the background.
We've got Sven on the call, and Sven's is doing a layout that is so close to the quality of Lance Minheim's that his advice is going to be valuable too. So if he has an answer, he can put his hands up after I'm done. So you've got and Edward's here too, and he's a great. They're both really good modelers. So my suggestion would be to practice on a small throwaway piece.
Oh, okay.
Okay? And I would say go black.
No, I would also say start with a black bridge and then dull coat as the first step. And whatever you apply later, it's either washes, acrylic washes, or some of the animal washes, the what is it, MIG pigments.
Yes.
There's washes from the military modelers. Yeah, some powders, some chalks.
Look at the bridge I posted. That's what.
Thank you, Ed. Thank you, Ed.
The gray that's on the black, that's a white weathering powder pigment stuff.
So there you have it, folks. It's the end of episode 1, and I know I took a couple of days extra to finish this video. I wanted to do a good job. So I took down all the mini shows, and I'm going to put up this show. And if you have any feedback, feel free to put it in the comments below. If you're a fan, thumbs up. If you're not a fan, thumbs up. Go for it. If you got your own show, thanks for watching. I'll probably watch yours. And hopefully I'll get the next episode out in a week. And I think I got the guests to make it as entertaining as this first one. I think that the topics that we cover will be helpful in your modeling hobby. I know we don't talk much about operations or playing with trains. It's not my forte. I've never really actually felt comfortable walking around following a train. I'm keen to a certain part of the hobby, and that is basically building structures and the business that I get from that. For those who are following, burnt my hand pretty good, so trying to model while having ouchies isn't really good. Anyways, thanks for watching today's show. Please like, comment, subscribe. Consider contributing to the Patreon page if you're interested. Again, if you don't like the show, go for it and talk about us behind our backs. Just don't say it in the comments, otherwise you'll be deleted. You got to be able to control yourself these days, boys and girls. Talk to you later.